The Sandro Tonali betting scandal came as a shock to everyone, and now it's causing a ripple effect throughout European football that UEFA needs to get ahead of. We're going to talk about that and more here on Stoppage Time at Pints and Punditry. Welcome back to Pints and Punditry here at the Pitchside Pub. Today we're going to talk about the Sandro Tonali situation, and I'm not going to get into all the betting stuff because it's been covered pretty well, but it's now having a ripple effect that's causing a lot of other problems throughout Europe, and that's what I want to talk about today. But before I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button for me down below. Hit the like button while you're at it for this video. Get in that comment section. I would love to get your thoughts on this. It's a very complicated topic. And of course, if you don't already follow us on Twitter, go ahead and do that at Pitchside Pub. So the short version is Sandro Tonali was betting on a whole bunch of games, including AC Milan games while he was there. He and a number of other Italian players appear to have had a gambling problem, and now they're in a lot of trouble. Newcastle is facing losing Sandro Tonali. He was a huge investment this offseason. He's been a key starter for them, and they are trying to figure out what they're going to do if he misses an extended period of time, which it looks like he is going to do. So the logical next step is to look for potential reinforcements that can come in during the January transfer window, and that's exactly what they're doing. One of the players they've been linked to is Ruben Neves, the former Wolverhampton Wolves midfielder who would be, on paper, a great fit. He's a slight drop-off from Tonali, maybe an equal replacement. Neves is a very good player, which is why it was very surprising when he left Wolves for a Saudi Arabian team of all places, right? Most of the players who went to Saudi Arabia were further along in their careers than Neves is, who's still very much in his prime. But he took the big money to go to Al Hilal and has been playing there ever since, which is what causes the problem. Al Hilal is one of the clubs owned in the Saudi League by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, who just so happens to also own Newcastle United, creating a massive conflict of interest. Now, I am not suggesting that the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund had the forethought to find replacements for players like Tonali and stash them in the Saudi Arabian League. I think the draw to get these types of players into the Saudi Arabian League was really just to elevate the level of play there and make it a huge moneymaker and eventually get TV deals and all the things that they want to do there to make a ton of money. But as an unintended consequence, or maybe just a backup plan of theirs, it does have the potential to serve as a farm system, if you will, to take something from American sports, and particularly in baseball. You have farm systems. You have minor league teams that teams can draw players from when they need reinforcements, injuries, trades, what have you. And that's what this has the potential to serve as. Oh, Sandro Tonali, you're going to miss the rest of the season. We didn't know it was going to be for gambling purposes, but it could have been an injury. We'll go to one of our Saudi Arabian clubs that we also happen to own, and we'll make a market-level transfer, and everything looks on the up and up, but it's an easy deal to make, and they can reject other clubs who may also want Neves, and that is a huge, massive advantage to Newcastle. Now, what's to stop other clubs from doing this? We have tons of multi-club ownership groups throughout Europe. Let's take Manchester City, for example. They lost Kevin De Bruyne. They have clubs, they own clubs in a number of other leagues, top leagues throughout Europe. What is to stop them from going and making a deal with Girona, for example, or one of the other clubs that they own? Well, nothing is, but those clubs don't have Ruben Neves, and the reason they don't have Ruben Neves is financial fair play. Girona cannot afford to go out and get Ruben Neves. Because of financial fair play, they're not allowed to go make that kind of investment. Whereas Al Hilal and the rest of the Saudi Arabian clubs are not under the regulations of financial fair play because they are not a UEFA league or a UEFA organization, because at the end of the day, UEFA is Europe and they're not in Europe. And so this becomes a major problem that UEFA really doesn't have a lot of control over. Now, one way they could control this would be to allow Saudi Arabian clubs to participate in their Champions League and not have to play in the Asian Champions League. However, the stipulation would have to be, okay, you can come play in our tournament, but now you're subject to financial fair play regulations. Do with those what you may. Not everybody believes them, but they are at least something. Would Saudi Arabia be willing to do that? Their big draw is that they have tons of money. If it's going to be regulated, would they have interest in in being regulated in that way. That we're opening up a can of worms here, but you see what the problems are. Newcastle is going to be able to acquire a very talented reinforcement for this player that they've lost because they're owned by the same group, the same ownership group. And that is a massive, massive conflict of interest that interferes with the competitive balance in the Premier League. No other club is going to be able to go get Ruben Neves. Liverpool would love another midfielder. Manchester City would love another midfielder. I'm sure Arsenal would take him. I'm sure Tottenham would take him. But they're not going to go get Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves is not going to be available to them. Why would Al Hilal want to transfer a player that they just brought in? The only way this would ever come to fruition is because it is a public investment fund owned club to another public investment fund owned club, and obviously Newcastle would be the priority in their internal hierarchy. So if this sort of move goes through, it is going to be a problem for the Premier League, it's going to be a problem for UEFA, and it's something they absolutely need to get under control before it happens again and again and again with these Saudi Arabian owned clubs. UEFA, it's your move. You've got to do something about this. I would love to get your thoughts. Am I right? Am I wrong? Is this a big deal? Is this the same as what other clubs do, or is it different? I think it's different because of the lack of financial fair play regulations in the Saudi Arabian League. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Get down in those comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button for me. Make sure you follow the channel, and make sure you follow us on Twitter at PitchsidePub. Thanks as always for joining us here on Pints and Punditry at the Pitchside Pub.